How's it, everyone? Welcome to another racket review right here on OpenCourt. So I'm excited, guys, because I got my hands on the newest update to one of the most popular rackets in recent years. And so today we're taking a look at the new 2023 Yonex Vcore 98 version 7. So before we get into this, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button if you guys like this content to keep the reviews coming. Let's check out the new Vcore 98. Now, of course, I gotta give a shout out to On Point Sports right here on Oahu in the state of Hawaii. That's where I got this racket. They have an awesome selection of rackets, strings, shoes, even apparel and other sports gear. So if you guys are ever in Honolulu or Oahu in Hawaii, check out On Point Sports. So Yonex is becoming more and more popular. It's probably one of the top 3 most popular racket brands here in North America now, which is pretty awesome. And this Vcore 98 is one of the most popular tweener rackets as of late because of its easy spin generation and power. This is the direct competitor to Babala's Pure Aero line because these are both spin-oriented frames. So what's new with the 2023 update to the Vcore 98? Well, it has a thinner beam up here in the upper hoop for more flex and more feel. Next, one of the biggest changes to the frame is the head shape. So if you guys look at the head shape, it looks different from the previous generation. It's been widened up here in the upper hoop at the 10 and 2 o'clock position. So it's going to translate to a little bit more power, and the sweet spot is going to be larger at the upper portion of the string bed. So the throat has also been redesigned here, and I can feel it. It feels a lot more rigid. And also at the bottom over here, there's this like slight indentation, which probably means it's going to flex a little bit more over here. So it's actually going to be a little bit softer, more flexible. Also, something new is the silicone oil infused grommets. So up here at the top and the bottom of the head, the grommets are infused with silicone oil infusion, which is what the Yonex Polytour Fire and the Polytour Rev actually incorporate that into their strings. So it just reduces the string friction over here. So it's going to actually slide and snap back more, which helps to add spin. Some returning innovations, of course, this wouldn't be a Vcore without the Aerofin technology. So you got the ridges up here and inside here, as well as the Aero Trench up at the 12 o'clock position to regulate airflow, make it more whippy and aerodynamic so it cuts through the air to impart spin. Also, the 2G NAMD Flex Force technology, super cool name, is incorporated into the upper portion of the shaft and the bridge or the yoke over here. It's pretty similar to the location that Head puts their new auxetic technology right up in here for more stability and feel. Lastly, we got the vibration dampening mesh or the VDM down here in the throat, which helps to filter the unwanted vibrations so it doesn't hurt your arm. So let's take a quick look at the specs of the updated 2023 Vcore 98. There isn't really much different from the previous generation. It's pretty much the same across the board with a slight difference to the beam thickness. The flex is a little bit lower with this new update, which makes me believe that it is gonna feel a little bit softer, I do believe, because of this new redesigned throat. But really, this Vcore on paper, it doesn't show on the specs, but it has been overhauled quite a bit, especially with this new head design. So I'm actually really excited to get this out on the court. I haven't played with a Vcore 98 since the SV98, which was a long time ago, and that one had a 1620. So it's going to feel a lot different from that. So without further ado, let's get on the court and let's hit with the new Vcore 98. Alright guys, I'm here on court. I got the new 2023 Yonex Vcore 98. I'm super excited because they overhauled this racket quite a bit from the previous generation. So I'm excited to get onto the court and see what all the buzz is about. Okay, wow. Wow, it's powerful. And that launch angle is so high. I gotta be very careful about overswinging. Yeah, but it cuts through the air pretty fast. So definitely, I think this is a lot more forgiving than some rackets I'm used to. in terms of the power level, yeah, it's super powerful. Yeah, I gotta be careful with this, especially on my backhand that I hit a little bit flatter, but it has easy net clearance. Yeah, even on those low forehands. So far, at the beginning, I was having a hard time controlling my forehand, but now that I'm getting used to it, I see my ball coming down inside the baseline. So it's actually pretty good. Super forgiving. I don't need to swing that hard to get the ball deep. My backhand though feels a little bit awkward right now because it's a little bit flatter. I had the same issue with the pure arrow, the 100 that I tried last year. Yeah, that felt good. Super easy topspin, wow. And on those low forehands too. Easy net clearance. My hitting partner just said that a lot of my shots, even though they might be short, the spin is bringing it back a lot, which means that it's pushing deep. That's what I like to hear. Oh man, slice feels good. Oh yeah, the slice feels awesome. Yeah, my takeaway so far that it's very powerful and it has a high launch angle. So I actually have to kind of slow down my swing, which might be an issue if I get over anxious. Oh man, super easy net clearance on those whip up low forehands. Oh, nice shot. All right, volleys. This is where I was actually pretty excited about for this racket. If my prediction is true, I probably don't have to swing that hard at the net with this racket. Still got to get the strings on the ball though. Now I'm actually kind of swinging a little tentatively on my volleys because I'm worried that I'm gonna send the ball long. As long as I block it in front, it has easy depth. I can get it past that service line, no problem, but oh, like that one almost went long. Now, I thought this would be an easy racket to hit at the net. It probably will be for most people because it's easy power, but I'm kind of sending the ball deeper than I'm expecting, and I'm barely even swinging. The low volleys though feel pretty good because I don't really swing on those to begin with. It's the high volleys that I'm worried about. In terms of the spin though, man, it gets easy underspin. It feels a lot more headlight and maneuverable than I was expecting. Yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of struggling with the low volleys, but everything else I'm getting used to. It feels pretty good. The fact that I don't really have to swing and it goes deep. So far, I think I might actually prefer this racket from the baseline, which is kind of weird because it's so powerful at the baseline, but for some reason I'm struggling to make solid contact on my volleys, especially the low ones. But it does have really easy power. Okay, what the heck, now I'm starting to get used to it. As long as I cut it a little bit and impart underspin, the ball actually stays nice and low. So I might have to do that a little bit with this racket at the net. All right guys, so I just finished up my play test of the new 2023 version 7 of the Yonex Vcore 98. And I must say, this thing plays a lot more powerfully than previous generations. I have the SV98, which is quite a few generations back already, so it's no surprise that these play very differently. But if you are looking for a little bit more power from your Vcore, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with this one. So without further ado, let's get into the pros and cons of the new Vcore 98. Starting with the pros of the 2023 Yonex Vcore Pro 98, super easy power. Sometimes it was too much at times, but we'll touch on that later. This racket was even more powerful than I was expecting with its new head shape and wider sweet spot up top. I actually think that this new Vcore 98 might be even more powerful than the 2022 E-Zone 98, which is a series known for its power. My favorite shot to hit with this racket was easily the serve. Because it made serving so easy, I hit more service aces with this new Vcore 98 than any racket I play tested in the entirety of 2022. Flat bombs rarely came back, and I blasted some flat serve aces down the tee that were super satisfying. Slice serves also had easy net clearance, which is usually the issue I have with slicers, but I noticed my slice serves also felt faster than when I used other rackets. I actually mixed in some slice serves into the body, and the extra pace was able to break down my opponent's return stance and force weak returns. The kickers also bounced high and away, and it was easy to push up to the net after my serve. Of all the serves, I think the flat serve was my favorite to hit because they just felt so powerful, and it was super fun and satisfying to blast those flat bombs because not many rackets in my arsenal allow me to do that. That easy power also translated to net play. I had to be careful on fast shots hit at me, the reflex volleys, because if I took my racket too far back, the Vcore 98 would send the ball long because it had so much power. But anything above my shoulder that I could hit down, and especially the overheads, were super fun and powerful and rarely ever came back. The low volleys required some discipline, but very little effort to clear the net. I just had to keep my eye on the ball and block it in front, and the ball would go deep, which made it easy for me to not get overpowered at the net. I noticed a decent amount of dwell time and response, which made me feel connected to the shots at the net. And I think certain strings can improve that dwell time if you want more in that area. During my warm-ups and my first impressions, I said I liked the new Vcore 98 better from the baseline, but I'm going to change my verdict. It took me a bit to get used to the weight and the balance and the power, but once I did, I definitely liked the new Vcore 98 better from the net. It honestly feels more like 100 than a 98, which might disappoint some people if you need more control. The main selling point of the Vcore line is the spin, and the new Vcore 98 definitely has that in spades. Top spin brought my forehand down inside the lines and pushed my opponents back. My hitting partner actually commented that he noticed the ball was driving him back and it felt heavy because of that added spin. Personally, I don't think the Vcore is that great on flatter shots, especially with this new update. If you're a flat hitter, I think you're going to struggle to control this racket's power, but staying on the topic of spin, this Vcore was incredible on slices as well. I actually got some short backhand slices to bounce to the side, which caused some opponents to miss their sweet spot. The added power also complemented the slices well because the low skidding bounce combined with the extra pace meant the ball didn't lose much velocity after hitting the ground, so I could cause opponents to strike the ball late if I hit a deep and low slice. The VDM also gives the Vcore 98 a slightly dampened feel, but I'm coming off playtesting the new Diadem Elevate 98 version 3, and the new Vcore is not as dampened as the Elevate, but it is still softer than the Vcore SV98, which is a few generations ago, so if you like softer rackets, the new Vcore is soft enough in my opinion. Overall, I like the 2023 Vcore 98 better in doubles than singles because serving and volleying was super easy and it allowed me to stay aggressive and take command of the net in my doubles matches. Now let's get into the cons of the 2023 Vcore 98, and it's kind of a case of two sides of the same coin. The biggest pro of the new Vcore is the easy power, but I think the biggest con of the new Vcore is also that its power is hard to control at times. It just has way too much power on flatter shots. I tend to hit aggressive flat returns and I sail the ball to the fence or pull it wide quite often, especially on my forehand side. The easy power is definitely a double-edged sword. Backhand ground strokes also felt a little awkward. I was catching the ball late quite often and the racket just felt a little sluggish at times from the backhand wing. The Vcore didn't feel as aerodynamic swinging horizontally through the backhand as it did swinging vertically on the forehand. This racket definitely feels made more for those vertical swingers. I just struggled to keep my flat backhand in play, which is the same issue I had with the 2023 Babla Pure Aero, and that doesn't surprise me because the Pure Aero and Vcore series are very similar in terms of the target audience. Also, I didn't feel the new Vcore 98 was great for hitting drop shots, and drop shots is a big part of my game. Angle volleys felt okay, but I just didn't have that same touch on drop shots where I had to gauge my own strength rather than simply redirect my opponent's shot to the side. I think this racket is a little too muted for droppers, and if I use this, I would probably string it with something that has more touch and response. So finally, let's answer the question of who is the 2023 Vcore 98 version 7 for. I believe it's for players looking for easy power, easy spin, and a forgiving feel. If you are a flat hitter or have no problem generating your own power, there is very little this new Vcore will do for you. In fact, I don't think this racket will mesh with that style of player at all. If you don't have the fastest swing but want some help from the baseline, the new Vcore 98 will give you that power. Also, defensive baseliners who hit heavy spin are probably more in line with this racket. Big servers and serve and volley players will love this racket, but you must be able to control its power from the baseline. I struggled in this aspect, so although I am a serve and volleyer, I don't see myself switching to this racket. Lastly, I know there probably aren't too many of these types out there, but if you are a slicer or hit mostly using the continental grip, the new Vcore 98 will benefit your game as the slice and underspin feels awesome. So to wrap up, I had a blast serving with the 2023 Vcore 98, and I know many players will like this racket for its easy power. The Vcore 98 is one of the most popular tweener rackets on the market. I'm curious to try the new Vcore 95, as I predict that one will have more control to go along with the spin potential and the power of the new mode of the Vcore series. Thank you for watching this review of the 2023 Yonex Vcore 98. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an open court.